Putazos y Pendejadas Podcast.
What's going on, Boxing Heads? It was the weekend of the monsters as Inoue remained unbeaten in Japan and David Benavidez electrified the crowd in Vegas by stopping Zurdo Ramirez. Mark, let's break down Inoue's unanimous decision win over Junto Nakatani first. It was a high-stakes fight in Japan, but not high drama. We expected a fight, and we got a bit of a chess match. What did you see Saturday morning?
That's exactly what I saw, man. A chess match. I didn't expect that. I honestly expected a big war, and I expected it to be a little bit more competitive than it was. But it was a good fight because you're always anticipating something huge with two big punchers, and a lot of big blows were landed, and that made it exciting too. But you know, both guys held up with good chins. Inoue did his thing, man. Nakatani really couldn't find him early, couldn't get that Nakatani rhythm and that Nakatani power because of Inoue's foot movement, his footwork. His footwork won it for him, I believe, man. His footwork was amazing yesterday. And he never let himself get in danger with his footwork. Even after he would strike, he'd move out of there pretty cleanly, man. Excellent footwork. Inoue did his thing. 115, 113, man.
Oh, you gave Nakatani 5 rounds.
Yeah. I mean, maybe because I was a little biased, I was going for him. After looking at it again, I saw it twice. Yeah, some of those rounds maybe I shouldn't have given to Nakatani, but
okay, I was gonna say because you said you thought it was gonna be more competitive. 7-5 is competitive.
Yeah, I guess after rewatching it, I get excited when I see fights and especially if I'm going for somebody. But yeah, 115, 113 is fair. And Inoue did dominate with his footwork, man. Inoue did his thing. He won.
Yeah, I don't think 115, 113 was fair. I had that fight 9-3, Nakatani. I could see maybe 8-4, but not 7-5. I don't think there were 5 rounds. Nakatani won. Look, for me on my side, the prediction almost stuck. I knew Inoue was simply the better fighter, and he was going to prove it. But I was surprised by Nakatani's game plan in that fight. It looked like the game plan was to be cautious for the first half of the fight, and then he would start to roll the dice in the second half and see if he could catch Inoue slipping. It wasn't a bad game plan. It could have also been that Nakatani was being cautious early because he needed to adjust to Inoue. He had not seen anything like Inoue before. He hadn't seen the speed. He hadn't seen the type of footwork, like you mentioned, in any of his previous opponents. And you have to adjust to that speed. You have to adjust to those types of reflexes. So it took him about 4 rounds before he really started to go for it and let his hands go. They both did very little in that first half of the fight, but I gave a lot of those early rounds to Inoue, Mark, because of intent. Nakatani seemed okay with just keeping that wide base and keeping Inoue at a distance and making it hard for Inoue to come in. He was happy with that. Inoue was the one pressing the action. He was coming forward. He was trying to get inside. He was throwing punches. So when there's not a lot of action in the fight, I want to see who's trying to make the fight. Inoue was trying to make the fight, and he had more success than Nakatani, even though there weren't a lot of punches thrown. So I gave a lot of those early rounds to Inoue, but that wide base, that karate stance that Nakatani uses, it was giving Inoue some problems. When he's fighting a southpaw, he kind of swings his foot around the lead foot so he can get inside the guard and throw shots on the inside. He was having a hard time with that because Nakatani's lead foot was so far out. But Inoue started making adjustments, and it was really cool to see those adjustments, Mark. He was doing crazy stuff, man. Like he would jab at Nakatani's body, and while he's right there on the inside, throw the jab up and hit Nakatani in the face. When he was having trouble hitting him, he started doing those double jabs, body and then up top. There was this one crazy uppercut, bro, where Inoue threw a right hand and his right foot, his rear foot, he lifts it up because he's throwing the right hand and he's trying to close the distance. And with his right foot up in the air, he launches an uppercut. When a fighter can get away with those unorthodox types of punches, Mark, they are special. And Inoue is a special guy. I think that's what we saw on Saturday. I do want to talk about the 3 rounds that I gave Nakatani. It was rounds 8, 9, and 10. That's where you really saw him start to open up. And that's because Rudy Hernandez, after the 7th round, told him, you need to throw more punches. You need to be first. So let him go. Let your hands go. And Nakatani did that. And he had some success in 8, 9, and 10, man. Inoue was getting touched up a lot when Nakatani started being first and started pressing him. And it looked like Inoue got a little tired in those later rounds, especially the 10th round. He looked tired. And that surprised me a little bit. I think because he was working so hard to try to get on the inside early in the fight, it took a little bit out of him towards the end. That was interesting. I thought Nakatani was going to make a run for it towards the end of the fight, but then the headbutt happened. It didn't look intentional. I know some people are saying it looked like Inoue did a dirty trick in order to try to get himself a breather. Mark, anytime you have a right-hander and a southpaw, headbutts are a problem. That was not an intentional headbutt. They were in close. Inoue was trying to throw a punch. Nakatani's head was right there on the inside. They both led with their heads, and they clashed heads. It's a typical thing that happens between southpaws and right-handers. So I don't think it was intentional, but Inoue seemed rejuvenated after that. He came back in the 11th round, and it seemed like he woke up. And he started landing clean on Nakatani. And after that, Inoue took the momentum away from Nakatani, and he closed the show in the 11th and the 12th round. Mark, I've heard some folks say online that Nakatani needed to start earlier in the fight. Do what he did in the 8th round earlier. Do you think that would have made a difference?
Yeah, for sure. I think he did start earlier. I want to say I had him kind of gearing it up towards the end of the 6th and the 7th. Definitely in the 6th round, he started making a concerted effort to turn it up because I believe he thought he was behind on the cards. And, sometimes that happens. You have to really, really be in shape when you know you're behind and you're coming back.
Mark, I don't think it would have mattered if Nakatani started earlier, because if he would have started earlier, I think Inoue would have ended up finding him earlier and taking advantage of the openings. When you throw punches, I don't care how good you are. When you throw punches, you leave openings. So instead of Inoue catching him at the end of the fight like he did in the 11th, I think he would have just caught him earlier, and he would have had more time left over to do more damage afterwards. Mark, there's talk that Inoue at 33 years old is slipping. In your opinion, have we already seen the best of Naoya Inoue, or is he still at his best?
No, he's still at his best, man. Look at what he did against Junto Nakatani, who's still at his best. They're definitely the 2 best guys at 122 pounds. I'd like to see it again just to see if Nakatani will change his strategy, because I'm still not convinced that if they fight maybe 5 times, Inoue is going to beat him every time. I'm still not convinced of that. I think Nakatani changes a few things, and he can probably beat him. But both of these guys are on the top of their game at 33. Inoue is still the best 122 guy out there, and he can compete with everybody at 126.
I agree with that, man. I don't see Inoue slipping at all. Maybe the fight didn't live up to the hype that we had expected, but you could see the problems that Nakatani presented to Inoue and the type of fighter that he was. He's a quality fighter. So, of course, he was going to give Inoue some trouble. But I scored that fight 9-3, and I just think Inoue dominated that fight. I think one of the scorecards for the judges was the same that you had. It was 7-5. And I didn't think it was that close at all. Inoue is still at the top of his game. No one at 122 can touch him right now. I think he can beat most of the champs at 126. That includes Angelo Leo. That includes Brandon Figueroa and even Shushu. All of them except for El Divino Espinosa. I'm not sure about that one yet. Espinosa, much like a Fundora, is an absolute nightmare for anybody at 126 pounds. I'm not ready to make a decision on that fight if they were to match up. But right now, I think Espinosa is the top guy at 126, and I don't think anybody's going to beat him below or at that weight. Let's move on and talk about the PBC card on Saturday, starting with the main event where Benavidez stopped Zurdo Ramirez in the 6th round. What did you think of Benavidez' performance?
It was brilliant, man. Brilliant performance. I mean, he's a 200-pound Sugar Ray Leonard, dude. The hands.
Whoa.
I'm telling you, man, he's the 200-pound Sugar Ray Leonard. Those combinations, man, they really remind me of Sugar Ray Leonard's flurries, man. And he throws punches and bunches. It's really, really fun to see. And the speed is his power, David. He is freaking powerful. I believe when he stopped the fight, though, he did slip an elbow in there. Not his fault. He threw a flurry, and I think right before he threw the last left, when he was coming out with it, he really connected with an elbow on Benavidez. So I'm not sure if it was the punch that did that damage or that elbow, but it doesn't matter. It was inevitable, David. The jab is there, the speed. He's got a better footwork, or he just looked like he had better footwork against Gilberto Ramirez, who's traditionally been like a big galoot. Last night, he had no answer for Benavidez, man. Benavidez beat a true unified cruiserweight, man. He shoots right to the top of the pound-for-pound list after what I saw last night. Passing Inoue, passing everybody. He's the first guy to do it from 168, 175, and 200. He shoots right to the top. Last night, he became the face of boxing, David. He's gonna own Cinco de Mayo, unless Canelo does something dramatic. This is his show, David. It's his time. He's the man, dude. He's number one pound for pound right now.
All right. I'll start with my take, and then I'd like to just talk a little bit about what you said there. I thought Benavidez looked good. I thought he looked really good. I'm not the biggest Benavidez fan. I still think he has a lot to prove. I expected Benavidez to win. I did not expect him to blow Zurdo out like that. Benavidez was a big favorite in this fight. I suspected that he took this fight for a reason, and now I'm convinced he took this fight mainly because of those sparring sessions and that he knew he was going to have his way with Zurdo. I think he knew that he has Zurdo's number. They sparred, I think he said 100 or 150 rounds, documented rounds. They wrote them down, so he knows the amount of rounds. He's so familiar with Zurdo, and I'm pretty sure those sparring sessions gave him the confidence to know I will beat this guy in a real fight. And I think that's why he took it. He wasn't daring to be great. He said, that guy up there has belts. I beat him up all the time. Let me go take them belts from him. That's what that was about. It's still a solid win because no one had ever done that to Zurdo before. Bivol swept him in their fight, but he never had Zurdo in the kind of trouble that Benavidez had him in. The hand speed was still there, even at 200 pounds. It had no effect on his combinations. It had no effect on his stamina. I mean, we only went 6 rounds, so we don't know what he would look like later on in a fight, but his stamina looked like it was there. He never looked winded. He looked in complete control, and the power was there as he dropped Zurdo twice, and we've never seen Zurdo hurt that bad in a fight before. That final flurry that ended the fight, that was beautiful, man. Now, to just touch on some of the things you said, bro. Sugar Ray Leonard, really, dog? Like, slow down, please. Yeah, the flurries. I'll give you the flurries, but that's where it stops. He doesn't have Sugar Ray's style. He doesn't have Sugar Ray's variety. He doesn't have the footwork. He has no footwork. And the Zurdo part, he didn't beat Zurdo's footwork. He didn't show better footwork than Zurdo. Zurdo didn't show his footwork at all. He walked right at Benavidez and gave him no distance. He closed the distance himself. Zurdo, I think, fought the wrong game plan. He was trying to go mano a mano with Benavidez. He was doing a two por two. And that's not how you beat Benavidez. You don't beat him at his game like that. You got to move on the guy, make him come to you so you can take advantage of his bad feet. And I thought that's what Zurdo was going to do, to keep some distance, fight at mid-range. He fought at close range most of the fight. He came right at Benavidez and walked right into his hands. We didn't really get to see the footwork part. As far as the face of boxing, that's still Canelo, bro. I don't know what you guys think the face of boxing means. To me, the face of boxing, it's simply a matter of numbers. Who's bringing in the numbers, views, and money? Benavidez has not sold any pay-per-views at all. He had trouble selling out this T-Mobile arena. There were talk a couple of weeks ago, tickets weren't moving. The face of boxing, to me, it's simply a matter of numbers. And when it comes to numbers, nobody's topping Canelo right now. Canelo is still the face of boxing. We don't know who the face of boxing is going to be after him. That hasn't been decided yet. As for Cinco de Mayo weekend, it could be Benavidez's date if Canelo doesn't fight on Cinco de Mayo. If Canelo fights on Cinco de Mayo, I guarantee you Benavidez is not going to fight that same weekend. And as for the number one pound for pound, are we kidding here? Inoue just faced another pound for pound fighter and beat him. This is the first time Benavidez has actually beat a champion before. So you don't get to jump all the way to number, in my opinion, you don't get to jump number one pound for pound for beating a champion in your first time. Like, that doesn't happen. He went from email champion to actual champion. In my view, I don't think he belongs at number one. That's still Inoue, and Usyk and Bam. All of those guys are still ahead of him right now. There, I got that off my chest, bro. Sorry, I just had to, I know you get excited, bro, but you got a little too excited about that.
I just think the first guy to ever do it at 168, 175, and 200, the first guy to do it, and that, my friends, is hard to do.
You can say it on paper all you want, that he did these things, he was a champion, and he did all this. The reality is he's never beaten a world champion until Saturday. Mark, I know you were excited about this win. You even had another interesting take about Benavidez. First of all, what was your take?
Well, last night, immediately after the fight, you know, since I always heard Zurdo through the fight week saying he wanted to end it at heavyweight if he won, right? He had 2 fights left in him. And in my mind, Benavidez could become a heavyweight. And the great Jim Lampley once said that Benavidez is going to eventually be a heavyweight. Jim Lampley said it years ago. And after last night, winning at 200 pounds, I believe he can. I believe he can go up there and fight some of the smaller guys. He ain't going to go over there and fight a Fury. He ain't going to go over there and fight those giants, you know, those 7-footers. But I believe he can beat a Gerald Miller. I believe he can beat an Usyk. I believe he can beat your Andy Reeses of the world and maybe become a heavyweight champion.
Let's hear some of the words from Benavidez about his plans after winning against Zurdo Ramirez. So after hearing that, what do you have to say now?
Well, I'm a little disappointed, man, because, you know, my take was I wanted him to be a heavyweight, but he's not going to do it. I'm disappointed, David, because he's going to go down. The plans are to go down and fight a Bivol, who we all know he's going to beat after what we saw last night.
No, we don't. No, we don't.
No, we don't. Older, he's huge. They've been showing him getting back in the gym, trying to get back in shape. This guy looks like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, dude. Big cheeks, fat guy. He's going to struggle to get down to 175 after back surgery, after wars with Benavidez. And then what we saw from Benavidez last night, That's a disappointing decision. I would really love him to be a heavyweight and win a title up there. It's something that's huge, man. You're gonna go
It would be
down,
huge.
beat the crap out of a Bivol, come back up to cruiser, and do what? Who are you gonna fight? A Jaya Pataya? He doesn't even have a
Exactly.
belt. He doesn't even
It
have a
doesn't
belt.
matter. Not right now. Not right now.
So, what are we doing? I say stay at cruiserweight, defend it a couple of times, get up there, get yourself an Usyk fight, get yourself a Gerald Miller fight, whoever has a title, and win the heavyweight crown. That would be historic. Not 5 years from now. Stay at cruiserweight 2 years, get up there, and do what Holyfield's done, what Usyk did himself. And I believe, David, that this man can beat an Usyk. Benavidez from last night, the Ray Leonard of 200 pounds, can beat Usyk, man.
All right. Look, I'm actually happy to hear what Benavidez said, because I still believe the challenges for him lie at light heavyweight. The better fighters, the higher quality fighters, are at light heavyweight for him. And I'm glad that he's open to staying between 175 and 200 pounds. He's open to fighting Jai Opetaia. He mentioned his name. I know he's already creating kind of excuses like, oh, Zuffa doesn't want the belts or whatever. Zuffa's never said that. Dana White's never said that they don't want to go for the IB. They don't want to include those belts. Yes, they're promoting their Zuffa title, which is kind of whatever you think about that. Yeah, right. But Jai Opetaia signed with Zuffa Boxing and they both have the understanding that he wants to be undisputed at cruiserweight. So there's intention of going for the WBC, keeping the IBF. They paid the sanctioning fees to the IBF and have Jai Opetaia defend the IBF belt. Zuffa is making the moves, showing that they do care about the sanctioning bodies. They do acknowledge and recognize those titles. So the way Benavidez is already kind of creating excuses that, oh, Zuffa doesn't want to fight for the title. That's not true. It's not true. So at least he's saying that they'd be willing to sit at the table and talk about a fight with Jai Opetaia. That's good news. But it sounds like he's already creating obstacles that aren't there. That's number one. But I do think Bivol and Beterbiev are the two names that mean more for Benavidez than any of the other guys at cruiserweight. Of course, unifying at cruiserweight would be a big deal. But if he's serious about taking on the kind of fights at 175 that he mentioned, specifically Bivol, I think he's going to become a huge name in boxing. I think he's a known name. I don't think he's a huge name yet. And as for struggling, I want to push back on your comment about Bivol having trouble getting down to 175. Are you crazy? Did you not see what Benavidez looked like? You talk about somebody looking fat. How is Benavidez supposed to get down to 175? You're worried about Bivol? Bivol was saying that he could move down to 168 to fight Canelo. Bivol doesn't have any problems getting down to 175, bro. It's Benavidez that you should be worried about. That man just fought at 200 pounds last night.
I like your point right there, David. Just if I can go quickly on that. He just fought at 200 pounds. And last night he said that he's going to be going from 175 and cruiser and keep both titles. And he's probably in his head, the way he said it, he's going to be undisputed at both and be the man and be shuffling through both rounds, shuffling 25 pounds back and forth, David. That's why I believe he should stay at cruiserweight. There's no legacy in beating a crippled Bivol or an old Beterbiev. You stay at cruiserweight, you become undisputed, and the biggest thing to beat in boxing is the heavyweight champion. As a Mexican, he can do it and reign for a while and beat an Usyk or a Gerald Miller, man. But you're
Mark,
right. I don't like the shuffling 25 pounds.
Mark. He told you from his old mouth, those guys are too big for me. Your mouth is bigger than his ambition. I think Benavidez has the right idea. I don't know if it's smart to go up and down between 175 and cruiser. The best thing that I think he could do is, if he wants to fight at the cruiserweight division, maybe not have to go all the way up to 200 pounds. There's nothing saying that he has to fight at 200 pounds. He could probably go up to 180 instead of having to go to the full or 185. He doesn't have to weigh the whole 200. That way, he's never that far away from 175, and it's still a cut that he can make. I think if he does it that way, it makes more sense.
David, after the fight, Benavidez calls out Canelo. Did he seem thirsty to you? Is the call out too old already? I mean, Canelo's 168, but he knows he's not going to go up. This guy's not going to go down to 168, David. Did he just seem thirsty or begging?
Absolutely. That ship has sailed. Benavidez, you got to let it go, bro. You've got to let it go. The Canelo fight is out of the question. Unless you're willing to chop a leg off and make 168 again, you can forget about that fight. I don't even know why he bothered. It was pointless to me to even ask for that fight, as if it's still a possibility. Like, move on already, man. You've got to make your name outside of Canelo, because that ship has sailed.
Yeah, I didn't like it either. I'm a Benavidez guy. I'm a fan of his, big fan of his now. I'm mainly a Canelo fan, you know that. But man,
no, you're clearly a big fan of his. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, that fight's done, man. You need to look. You're the star, bro. You don't need to be calling out a Canelo, man. You don't need to be calling him out anymore. You're the guy now. You're the man of the hour. You know, you're the face of boxing now and the face of Cinco de Mayo. You don't need to be calling out Canelo.
Can we stop saying he's the face of boxing right now? Anyway, Mark, last topic of the video, performance of the weekend. With names like Benavidez, Zurdo, Inoue, Nakatani, you might be surprised that, for me, the performance of the weekend goes to Jaime Munguia. Munguia, who's now training under Eddie Reynoso and being promoted by Canelo, looked like a new man to me, Mark. He was looking like Salvador Sanchez in that ring. He's darting in and out, using head movement. Jaime Munguia using head movement. Quick 1, 2, 3, three-punch combinations. He was pivoting. He was turning Resendiz. He looked really good. I was dead wrong about him. I said in the last video, I thought he was done. I think it puts everything to bed. All the criticism of Eddie Reynoso not being a good coach. I think this proves that he is one of the best trainers out there. If I were to criticize Eddie Reynoso about anything, it would just be making in-fight adjustments for his fighters. I think he struggles with that. If something's going wrong, he doesn't know how to give direction to help his fighter in the middle of a fight. But I think he has a good coaching system. I think you can see the adjustments that he makes in camp for his fighters, and you can see the changes in Munguia. The last few fights that he had to now, it's like night and day. So Munguia gets the performance of the weekend. To me, who was your surprise performance?
Chavez versus Sanchez. Those two guys, those two teams were the performance of the night. Here you had a Chavez who was undefeated and a Sanchez who was undefeated. Two very different styles. Chavez was more of the boxer with movement. And then you had Tito Sanchez, who was your classic Mexican walk-you-down brawler. And Sanchez imposed the pace of this fight, and Chavez was forced to fight a battle as well. Both corners, man, both corners giving excellent instructions, telling, Chavez, bro, you're fighting this guy's fight. You're going toe-to-toe. I need some movement. Let's go. And then you see him go out there and try to deliver for his coach and make the movement. But Diaz and those boys were telling Tito, you go in there and you break his ribs and let's go. And, the motivation between both training, both corners, the instructions for both corners, excellent. The clash, it just made for a great fight. Both guys gave it their all. Tito Sanchez knocking him out at the end. The drama was there. That whole fight, both teams, Chavez and Sanchez, that was the performance of the night, man. What a fight. What a fight.